Good afternoon here, YouTube people. What is going on with you all today? How? I'm here in the same spot I've been in for the last couple of videos, and I wanted to talk about arguments and fighting. I've noticed a lot of things here within the last, 5.5, 6 years almost, since I've been back in the USA, and it goes back to my old days where, I was passive back then. I would let certain people talk to me any kind of way, but if you rubbed me too much one way, I would get awful upset, and then I would start arguing, and eventually it led into a fight, like fist fight, all out, drag out. But I realized something, that it really doesn't even matter to do these things. A lot of people, they get upset, they do things off the handle, and they regret it later, thinking about it. Now, I'll give you an example. I know you've heard me talk about Daniel before. He was out here, and I watched over his dog, Fufu. That was Daniel's dog. Anyway, he has certain problems, and I'm not going to go into what his problems are. It's his business. But this one guy that I knew many moons ago, back before, he dealt with the guy named Rex that had another pit bull dog, Baby, if you can remember seeing her in my videos on another channel. He was panhandling one day, and just so happens that the same guy got up on the median, punched Rex right in the eye, and took his money. And he came down to where I used to sit, and he was crying. He was like 26 at the time. And I said, "Why are you crying?" He's like, "The guy punched me in the eye." Well, he got a black eye over it, and he was telling me that this guy, he's strong and he fights with 2 arms, and like he's a boxer and this and that. I'm like, and coming from the old school, I mean, we learned how to fight with 2 arms. I don't know why he only had 1 arm to throw with, I guess. I don't know. He was holding his dog in the other arm, I guess, or whatever. And he was crying about it. Well, if you are a friend of mine, which he was at that moment in time, it rubs me some kind of way also. I defend my friends to the end, and there is a lot of loyalty in me as far as my friends are concerned. I'll give you for instance, even playing video games online. I mentioned before that I actually have games that I play online that I'm actually making money at doing. And you get up to a certain level and they pay you more money. So like my Monopoly Go, in one sitting time, I can make anywhere between $7 to $15 just for sitting there for one time. Okay, so somebody profile, I'm not even gonna say who it is or anything. Maybe that person is actually listening to me, I don't know. However, they sent me a request, and I friended that person, and then I noticed they were like trying to destroy my village. Okay, that for me is a no-no. My cousin did that to me, and then she discovered that I wasn't doing it back, so maybe she should respect me in that and not hit me anymore. So she stopped. Okay, when it comes to being a friend of mine on a game or in life or whatever, you have to be respectful towards your other, co-players or even lifetime partners, whether they be a friend, a family member, or a lover, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Anyway, if you're gonna do something against that person, then you might be looking at getting cut off. And that's exactly what happened. This person, they don't have anything to hit back at because they're not building their village until they have enough coins. And then they build it all at one time, so haha, you can't get me. That kind of thing, And they probably live in a different country because, if I'm not awake at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to be able to see that they just spent all their coins and they went to the next level. That kind of thing. So they're being real covert when it comes to, okay, well, we'll try to destroy his thing, which they're like majorly under where I'm at. And they're not going to build anything, so I can't hit back at them. Yet they are a friend on my profile. It just doesn't fly with me. So I cut that person off completely. And I'll do it again. I'm not trying to have anybody that is supposedly a friend of mine on any game. And they're trying to destroy what I'm building. No, it just doesn't work that way. Plus, there's money involved. So, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I cut you off. That kind of situation. Anywho, to get back with my story, this same guy, he comes and steals Daniel's dog. Now, I knew it was him. He was in our area, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. He disappeared with the dog. Then all of a sudden he comes back and he ties the dog up so that Daniel would find it. Daniel came and found me and said, I got Fufu back, blah, blah, blah. Everything was cool, and then Daniel got gone. I found out from a security officer that Daniel is in Alabama, and supposedly he's stuck there, whatever, I don't know. But long story short, this guy, he comes around now that Daniel isn't around. He was long gone. He didn't want to get caught up over here with Daniel around. But now that Daniel isn't around, he comes around, right? So I'm sitting here making a video, I don't know, a week ago. And all of a sudden, he comes walking up to me, rude, by the way, because I'm making a video, and he wants to ask me what time it is. I look at him, I say, I guess it's time for you to buy a watch. Oh, I figured you'd have a smart attitude, and he's mumbling and that. I really didn't even care to hear what he had to say, honestly. But, he was trying to get me riled up or whatever, and maybe into an argument that would lead into a fight, a fist fight. I'm not scared of this guy. That's one thing about me. I'm very passive when it comes to that. You have to walk up to me and just hit me to get me to start fighting with you. And I just wasn't going to do it as far as he was concerned, because he's not worth my time of day. And that is what I'm getting at. In order to continue with the status that you have and continue holding on to that status, that energy, that vibration, you have to avoid any kind of confrontation with anybody. By saying what I said, I guess it's time for you to buy a watch. It was kind of like triggering him. However, it was getting him to know that I didn't want anything to do with him. So just stand clear of me. So within the last 4 to 5 days walking through town, I notice he sees me and he walks the other way now. He doesn't want confrontation with me, and I know that, but that is how it works. A lot of people out here, they'll try to do whatever it is that they can do to try to start something with you, but they don't want to look at trying to finish it. They just want to try to start something. And I just got totally tired of that whole situation. Totally tired of it. And by saying what I said, I let him know, I'm not messing with you. I'm not going to deal with you. Don't come up to me asking me anything. Because that's 2 times. One guy he stole the dog from. The other guy he stole money from, but he punched him in the eye. And so what? It didn't happen to me. But I have loyalty to my friends, as a lot of my friends do not have to me, or people that might call themselves my friend. But I am very loyal when it comes to that kind of thing. So if you're looking to do something to somebody else, it means that you would try that on me also. And I just don't buy into it. And, like I said, better part of me not throwing the first punch or starting an argument is the best thing for anybody. If you want to continue at the status that you're at without lowering yourself to somebody else's status, then you have to avoid that at all costs. And I find it a lot better now. Used to be people would say something to me and I'd pop. Like Donald Trump, for example. He's the president, blah, blah, blah. But, somebody says something against him and he can pop off real quick and come back with a comeback real quick. I used to be that person. I am very quick to draw whenever somebody tries to say something to me. I'm very quick to do so, but I have held myself back from that. I no longer am in that status. I want to keep the status that I have now. And a lot of people respect me for that. They look at me as being, somebody that they can look up to, instead of, well, he's a hothead, if somebody says something to him, he flies off the handle and starts popping right back at him and stuff like that. And a lot of people like that. Just look at YouTube. It'll show you how people, they view Donald Trump in that way. But is he really getting the respect from the people by withholding, after somebody's tried to drag him through the mud or whatever, is he really getting the respect that he deserves? Or are people just thinking he's cool because he knows how to pop right back at people? You know, and I had to learn that on my own. I had to do everything different than what I used to do. But it actually is working out more in my favor now that it's in this manner. You know, it's not, you know, hey, well, he's like this and like that. No, I demand respect and I get respect, and respect is earned. I believe in that. You should always respect somebody. So even by not saying anything back to somebody, just because they had something out of their way to say to you, you're still being respectful. I see all on YouTube fights and things like that, and it usually comes from some nonsense, basically. All it is pure nonsense. Well, yeah, la, 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 and then next thing you know, here comes the fist flying and stuff like that. Or if they're involving guns or something, somebody pulls a gun out, starts shooting it at one person, and the other person shoot back, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it makes for an interesting video. A lot of people like to look at that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, did you prove anything? No. Even if you were the one that came out the victor in the fight, or what, or you end up shooting somebody dead in the street, what did you obtain from that? You know, you might get in trouble. You punched somebody in the face, or you shot somebody to death. And it all came from some nonsense, some flat out nonsense. So I abstain from any of that. You know, at my very best, I try to keep myself away from that. And I distinguish that by telling the guy, I guess it's time for you to buy a watch. Yeah, he thought that was a smart comment, but hey, when it comes down to it, I don't want to talk to you. So don't talk to me. And that's exactly the message I gave towards that guy. Because I don't want to have anything to do with him. And hopefully now he knows that. But I think he does, because for certain he has been walking away from me now since I said that. And that's good. He got the message. I don't want to converse with you. I would, if I walked by you in the street, I wouldn't say hi to you. I don't know you anyway. I don't know him from a can of paint, from Adam's horse cat, or whatever. I don't know him, and I don't want to know him. He's one of these ones. He used to turn the trash cans over in this neighborhood right here. I mean, he would just take the trash can right out of the trash, throw it all in the sidewalk and that. And I had a couple of police officers ask me, who's doing this? I said, well, it's some homeless guy. Well, do you know what he looks like? Yes. What does he look like? And I said, to me, he looks like any old regular homeless guy. That's what I told him, because true enough, they're not going to find the guy. And I look like an awful snitch by trying to give him the details of the guy. It's not like they're going to go around looking for the caper of the trash cans being dumped out on the sidewalk, because they're not. They have a lot more time to waste in other things out here than somebody that's dumping trash in the sidewalk. But, you know, nevertheless, it happened, and, you know, I took it just that way. And, you know, from this day forward, that's how I continue to run my life. This is what God said when he said, turn the other cheek. You know, sometimes you have to turn the other cheek. Now, if somebody all out hits me out here, I have to defend myself. I'm not just going to stand there and let somebody, you know, beat the loving poo out of me or something. You know, I'm not going to do that. But when it comes to arguing and starting these little petty fights and stuff like that, you can abstain from that by just saying, I'm not going to do it. You know, it's just like with me. I have been abstinent, which means no sex, in almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years in August, okay? No sex whatsoever. And, you know, I feel pretty proud of that, you know? Not a lot of people can say that, but I can. And I have. And that even brings my status up higher. So along with that, and not arguing, and not fighting, and not bickering with other people, and just being as straightforward as I possibly can, and just living my life the way that I should, everything's going great, and everything will continue to go great just because of that. So, you know, I just wanted to say that, and I also want to say that I love you. I love you right there. Love yourself. Love my Father God, and by all means love each other, people. Until the next time, love, peace, and soul. In case you haven't seen one, this is a Waymo car by Uber. It's manless, and they pick up people and deliver them to whatever destination they're going. But it's totally operatorless. There's no driver in the car whatsoever. You see all the cameras all around it and that. One was actually in this intersection right here, blocking all of the traffic coming at it. I don't know what happened to it, but that's how it ended up being. But